Hello everyone. Now today we are going to take one step further on the binary exploitation that we did last time. Last time we did it with all the protections disabled. This time we will just enable one of the protections and see how we can bypass that protection. So the way we are going to do it is we will I have already copied level 0 binary from the raw primer in Vulnhub. This binary is basically a simple buffer overflow practice binary and has NX bit enabled. What NX bit enabled means is in a binary is that you are not able to execute anything on the stack, and as soon as you try to jump to stack and execute something from there, you will immediately get a seg fault. With that said, let's jump in. So first is I'll show you this blog from XPNSec. This is where I learned a lot of things of what I'm going to tell you about, and it also gives you the C code that is used for generating that binary. Now again, like last time, I have put this on my GitHub, and you should be able to get it from GitHub if you want to do so. So I have here my level 0 binary that we are going to use for this video. Now this level 0 binary, let's first get it into GDB and run checksec. So as you can see in checksec, all other protections are disabled, only the NX is enabled. This is where we are going to start, and to ensure that we can get it up to root, what I have also done is I have made it ch owned by root, and there is SUID bit set for this, SUID and SGID set for level 0, which basically means that if we are able to successfully exploit this, then we can get basically root access with this exploitation. Now also as I showed you last time, probably we if you want to use the real .c program, you can always get it from this repo, or you can I have copied it here also. So as you can see, this is a pretty straightforward C program where I am just doing set UID 0, set GID 0, and then system bin dash. And also I have the makefile here that you can use to compile this. Now we are compiling this in 64-bit, remember, because in Parrot I was not able to compile 32-bit binaries properly, but if you want, you can always try to compile it in 32-bit binary if you are able to compile it in 32-bit properly. The other thing that we will need is basically, once we are able to get some code execution, is shell, and once we get there, I will show you how that works, but let's start off. So to start with, we will do GDB level 0, run. So it says ROP tutorial level 0, what's your name? We will enter something here, and it just says but you can't drop me with the input that we have given. Let's see if we can crash it. So we will run it again, give a bunch of A's, probably a lot of A's, just to ensure that we are able to crash it, and we can see that it immediately crashes. But if you see here, we don't know what is the length that was required to crash it, right? So What we will do is, as usual, by now you would have probably noticed that we will do a pattern create of, let's say, 400. This will give us a very unique string which will allow us to identify where the EIP is overwritten, and then we will run the program again, paste this in, and we will get a 6F. Once we get a 6F, we can go a little bit up and we can see that EIP is overwritten with AFAA, and ESP and EBP are as well overwritten with some values that we have mentioned there. Now we can do a pattern offset, and we can give it the value that we see in EIP, and it will tell us that it was found exactly at offset 44. If you don't even want to copy that value, you can always run pattern underscore search. This will search for pattern in the whole binary, whole process memory, and you will get a lot of other results as well, and not just one single value. Now, as you can see here, it will tell us that registers contain pattern buffer, which is in EBP plus 0 and EIP plus 0. And this EIP value is again the same value that we saw there, which is 44. So now we know that if we have an offset of 44, we are able to overwrite it. So let's try to do that. So let me open a new window and do Python -c print A into 44 plus B plus C into 400 minus 44, 48. So we are in Python 3, so we need to give this and this. Okay, so now we have generated a pattern of our own where we are writing 44 A's and then 4 B's and then C's. Now we should be able, when we give this pattern to the binary when it asks for input and it crashes, we should be able to see B's in the EIP. Because that's how we that's because 44 was the offset for EIP. So whatever is there in our input after 44 should get into our EIP. So let's try that. Let's give this value and see, and we can see that we are able to overwrite EIP with BBBBB. Now typically if you are able to do this, you can actually jump to ESP and write your shellcode in ESP, and your shellcode will be executed from there. But since we know that no execute is present here, we will not be able to do that. And so what we want to do is basically run some commands without writing into stack, or without jumping into stack. Basically, since the stack is no execute, we cannot have any piece of opcodes into stack which we can reuse. Okay, now let's first look at the memory map of this process, and you can do that in GDB if you have PETA installed with VM map, and this is the stack that we can see. Now as usual, first we don't want to have our ASLR enabled, so we will disable that. Process kernel randomize VA space. So this is enabled. I will just disable it with disable ASLR. It will ask me for the password. This is basically just a echo of 0 into that particular file. You can do this with sysctl also if you want to, and then we can quickly verify that it is 0 now. Now once we have done that, then this address will always remain same, and they are not going to vary, which is going to make our life a little easier. And let's open this again and copy this, run it. We can see VM map again, and this is the stack that we are looking at. Okay, so okay, let's create one script, 1.py. We will import struct, and as I mentioned last time, we will just define this p32 function as well, which can be used to convert any address to written in 32-bit address. So return struct.pack, and we used less than capital I, if you remember, and then x is what we want to convert. So this is our function to convert any memory address to Little Indian address format. Okay. Now we will note down the stack, where the stack is, and we will convert it to p32. This is the start of stack. But remember that we cannot write anything into stack directly and execute from there, right? So how are we going to do that? So one of the simplest and the easiest way of doing this is removing the restriction that we have. The restriction that we have is basically we are not able to execute from the stack, right? So when you look at the VM map, you can see that VDSO can execute from the memory location, and this program can execute from memory location, but stack is not marked for execute. So if we change this and make it RWXP, that would basically mean that we are able to execute something from here as well, and hence the limitation goes away that we cannot execute anything from stack. So that's what we are going to try to do. Now for doing that, if you don't know about mprotect, I'll suggest that you look it up, but mprotect is a system call that allows you to change the protections on the memory mapped pages, changes the access protections for the calling processes memory pages. So you can give it any address. The parameters that it requires is the address from where you want to mark it with certain permissions, then the length of the stack that you are going to mark, and then what is the protection that you need. Now if you go down a little bit, you can see that there are multiple protections that you can enable or disable: prot read, prot write, prot exec. And if you go down into this file, mman.h, you can actually see that the values are very similar to how you do it for permissions for your binary, so 1, 2 and 4. So basically if you want to change the memory address to 777, you will basically get read write execute. But since there are no 3 permissions here and only 1 permission, you basically want just 7, right? So let's do vi1.py again, and so stack is the address where we want to change the permissions. Let's say that the size that we want to change is 0x10,000, and then the length that we want to no, size we have already done. So protection that we want to have is basically 0x7. Okay, So these are the three parameters that we need to pass to mprotect, and now we need to know the address of the mprotect itself. So we know that since we have the run the application here once, we can just say pmprotect, and we will be able to see the address here. Let's take that address and put it in our Python script. Okay, now once you have done that, then we will start creating the payload. So payload equals this payload plus equals first we want a chunk of offset, and I have not defined the offset here. So offset is 44 as we saw in pattern search and pattern offset. So we will do this. Then we want to go to mprotect, so we will add mprot here. Then you know that we need to have the return address, and the return address can be anything for now. We will give BBBB here so that we can crash the program and see the status of the process memory map at this point of time. Now we know that we need first parameter as the address where from where we want to change the permissions, which is the stack address. The next one is the size, which is this, and the third one that we need is actual permissions, which is prot. Actually, let me change it to perm. We have to also write it out, so we will do import sys dot stdout dot buffer dot write payload, and we will have to make these bytes. Okay, hopefully this should work. Let's see. What am I missing? Okay. struct struct dot pack return spelling mistake. Name payload is not defined. Okay, I have the same problem here as well, so let me change here as well. Hopefully now it should work. One more B will be required here. Okay, so now we are able to print this. Let's write it to a temporary file A and run it with this as input. So what we are expecting now is that where we had overwritten 42424242 earlier, we would overwrite the address of mprotect, and then we will have the return address, which is basically again 4242424242, and then we have the parameters for mprotect, and the parameters are the stack address, which is this, the size of 10,000, and the permission is rwx. So now what we expect is that it should again crash here, but after it crashes here, when we look at the VM map again, we should see that the stack is now executable. So let's try that. As expected, it crashed, and it crashed in again the right place. So let's look at our VM map, and as we expected, we had given an address of DD000, which is the actual stack address earlier, right? So from there, 10,000 bytes are now marked as read write execute, and they are mapped in stack. Now this is where we can actually now put our shellcode, and we can execute it from there. Now how do I put my shellcode there? So again, we will have to see how we can put the shellcode there. And we know that if we want to put something into the stack, the best way to do that is using the read command, right? So let's look at read. Again, if you see read, we have 3 parameters that are required: fd, the file descriptor from where to read, and we know that we want to read from stdin. Because there is no other file descriptors open, and it will be difficult to open a file descriptor and then read it from there. So why not directly read it from stdin? The second is the void pointer buffer. This is basically the memory address at which you want to write whatever you have written. This is the place where it will be stored for the program to read it later, and the size of the input that you want to read. Now this is the maximum size that you want to read, and it can be lesser than this. So we don't have to really worry about the exact size of the shellcode, and we can go ahead and give a little more than the size of the shellcode. That should not be a problem for us. Okay. So now that we know this, let's try to do the same thing that we had done earlier with mprotect. But before we do that, remember that we have given 3 parameters to our mprotect also, and those are still lying in the registers. So we need to clear them out. So the way we have to do it is we have to do pop 3 times and ensure that those values that we had entered into the registers are taken out from the register, right? So there is a very easy way of doing this. If you are doing it from PEDA, just do ROP gadget, and immediately you will see at the top these are few of the things that you would see. And pop ret is basically pop 1 register return. So pop 2 ret is pop return. Pop 3 ret is pop and return. So since we have 3 parameters, we will be using this pop 3 return. Okay, so we will go to this 1.py and use 3 pop 3 ret, and this is again p32 of this. Now remember that in the payload this BBBB was basically the return address, right? So instead of this, we will, if we give pop3 ret, then it means that it will basically clear the addresses here, and then it will continue going from doing whatever it was doing. So this is where our mprotect ends. Next is what we want for read. So we will do p read. This is our read. Let's note it down here. So read is p32 of this address, and we can give it here. Okay. Then we want a return address here. So let me again put BBBB here. We will fix it in a bit. but for now let's just put BBVB here, and then we want the we have to, if you remember the call to read, the first was the FD number, which is STD in, which is 0, and then we need the buffer address. Buffer address is the same address which we have marked as execute, and that we know we have marked stack as executable, right? That's the variable which is storing the address which was marked as executable. So we will use the same address, and then we need the size. So size, let's say we can use whatever, 200, 300, 400, whatever we want. I'll just use 400 here. And now we should be in a read statement, and after reading it should basically crash again. So let's see if we get to that point again. I'll save this, quit this, rewrite it to A, and we will execute it again. Okay, we cannot now execute it from here, so we will execute it from outside. We will do Python 1.py. It will be difficult. Let's say echo A, and then we will then we will just pipe it to /level0. Okay. Yeah. So again, it did a segmentation fault. Now let's look at where it did that. So if you see it again, seg fault at 42424242. So now we need a shellcode. So in the second read, when we give a shellcode, it should basically execute that shellcode and give us what we want. Now the shellcode is again the previous shellcode that we have used from Shellstorm, which is shellcode -216.php. I am using the exact same thing. I have not changed anything here, so there should be no difference for you here. That being the case, I can just execute that, and then I can say Python shell.py, and then I can say cat minus, and this cat minus is to keep the std open. So as you are aware, if you pipe some input to program, then stdin is closed as soon as the input from the first command is over. What it basically means is that as soon as this guy gives ends its input, the stdin for level 0 will be closed. Now we want the stdin to be open so that we can interact with it, right? So this cat minus is a very simple trick that will keep this std out of this program open, and hence keep the stdin of level 0 open. So let's try this, and we can see that as soon as we give this, it waited for a minute. I had to press enter. Once I press enter, I can see that nothing is happening, and it is doing a seg fault. So let's see why it is doing a seg fault. So it is still seg faulting at this 424242. Let's fix that as well now. Now instead of this return address, let's use the exit address. P32. Level 0, run this raw gadget. So here we will also get a return. We can probably use this and it should not crash. So let's use this and we should be fine. Let's save this and then Control C out of it, Control C, Control D, and then we run this again. Okay, and now again it is crashing. Let's see why. Sec vault at 0, IP 0, and SP is something. Error 49, level 10, level 0. Okay. Uh, okay, I am back. Sorry, there was some background noise and I had to take care of it. So as you can see, now we are getting a segmentation fault. But looks like we are pretty close. So let's try something. Instead of doing a return, let's try to jump back to stack and see what happens. So here we will just jump back to stack. Remember, this is your read syscall. So this is my syscall, this is my return address, and I am changing the return address to stack, and then I am giving the parameters for the read call, which is stdin, then the address from where to store the values, and the length of the values that I want to read. So let's do this and then execute this again, and bingo. Now we get this output. And if you remember, our shell.py basically does a setuid 0, setgid 0, and then does a cat of etc shadow, and then execute dot slash real uid, and then executes exit, right? So if we are able to see this output for cat etc shadow, that basically means that we were able to get the uid of 0, which is the root user, because that is the only user which can read this. So if I do a ID here, I can see that I am root, and I can do whatever else I want to do from here on. So that would be all for today. Thank you guys for listening in. Bye.